So today we are doing Greed Island, the Hunter x Hunter arc. It was a good training arc, but yeah, we're gonna rank the characters.
Yeah, I think this was a pretty. I think one thing that Great Island had really going for it was the fact that it was a pretty unique premise. Like I've never really seen an anime arc that was so, I guess, just unique. I really like the mechanics of like the game, if you want to call it that. I think it was a little bit more real than the game though. But yeah, we're just gonna be ranking the characters.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hate that Greed Island gets. Like, I think it's because it's between like the two most banger arcs
Yeah,
in the whole series. But I thought there's a lot of cool moments and
definitely.
introduces some good characters.
Yeah, and
Um,
honestly, it's like one of the better ways to do a training arc. Like, would you rather just see Gon and kill it just training by a waterfall?
yeah, like the like Judge Anken in like the Chimera Ant arc would not be as cool or even a thing without Great Island. So
Exactly, exactly.
so this guy, Granu,
Yes.
um, his net ability is to make a gorilla appear. He has two
Yeah.
gorillas. One he can switch places with, and then one I think he can switch places with someone else. Or
I believe that's
I
how.
can't. I, I'm not super confident about his net ability. Regardless, he's just kind of around. He like joins Gon, Killua, and Biscuit's party.
Yeah.
Um, he hangs with them. I really have nothing to say about this guy. He was just around.
Yeah, I think the only thing you really can say is just his net ability is unique, but not necessarily in like a good way.
Yeah,
It's more just like strange. The fact that like
yeah.
they decided that they were gonna give a person the ability to summon gorillas and then manipulate positioning with the gorillas. I don't
The
know.
sad thing
It's
is that
it's
net
like
abilities are very personal things, right? That you create.
exactly.
So this guy was like, "All right,
Exactly.
what's my net ability gonna be?" It's gonna be the ability to create gorillas and then teleport gorillas between the positions in which I've created them.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So
honestly it could come from like some deep-seated trauma. I feel like when he was younger, people would like tease him, calling him like a gorilla. Because he kind of
yeah,
gives off like that vibe and like the way that they created his character, the design at least, looks very like monkey-ish.
yeah.
So maybe it, like deep down hurt him and he was like, I'm gonna embrace this. And he
He is
decided to come up with the weirdest one.
like he has to be a high level Nen user, right? Because we forget this all the time, but everyone in Hunter x Hunter is like pretty high level, especially like you had to audition to be in Greed Island.
Definitely, yeah.
And like Gon and Kilo at the end of the York New City arc weren't even good enough. They had to like learn their Hatsus first.
Yeah.
So he's like a really good Nen user. But still
Yeah.
like that's his gig.
Pretty irredeemable net ability, but what are you gonna do?
So
Yeah,
so
no
do you
question. Yeah.
okay, yeah. Next is another, I think, rando in this arc. Less of a rando, more of a personality, but it
Yeah.
says Gara. Um, he's like leading the effort by the rich guy to, win Greed Island and get the card. Um, but yeah, he's kind of cool. He's like sort of a commander leader type character. That's like his personality. Um, he's not very relevant throughout the arc though.
He's really not.
Um, he serves to scale Gon and Killua a little bit when, if you remember the scene where he shows his Nen ability, like he's like, "This is what I'm really good at," and he does the thing where he jumps and he floats in the air.
Yeah.
Uh, he's like, "My record is 16 meters or something like that," and then Gon and Killua would like immediately like double his record.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, he gets more points than Granu for I think having more of a personality, but still like, eh.
Yeah, I think I'd probably put him in C. I think you played dodgeball with them, which was fun. And then towards the end, I feel like he kind of has because prior to all this, he's kind of like this, like, oh, like I'm strong. You guys are kind of like shouldn't be here, weaklings, you know. But then he kind of like acknowledges their strength towards the end, like after they played together and like they've shown like how like their resolve essentially. So I think for that, I'd at least put him in a C. Nothing else other than that really is too great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, Razor. He is one of Jean's friends, and most notably, like the person that they play dodgeball against.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, he's also one of like the game administrators. Uh, I really liked Razor, and I admit that Razor didn't have like a super strong personality, um, but his dodgeball was just a super cool like
Yeah.
uh, like few episodes in the arc, and his backstory was pretty cool. You know that he was some sort of like evil like murderer guy, I think.
He was
And then
like that. He was
Gene,
in prison or something. He was like a
yeah,
prisoner.
and then Gene was like, "All right, come work on my video game," and then you know that'll be cool. And yeah, it was just nice seeing like a bridge between Gon and Gene because up till now, obviously, like Gon hasn't met Gene or anything yet, and so we now see a character who's like good friends with Gene and meets Gon. So,
Yeah,
uh, and he's just like I think his design is super cool.
definitely.
Um, it's like a body type that we don't see a lot in Hunter x Hunter because usually like I think Hunter x Hunter and a lot of like anime with like very intricate power systems try to do this where they pull out like these big burly guys and then they show that if you're like an experienced Nen user, for example, you can just totally wreck shop.
Yeah,
Um, but no, Razor is a big burly guy and also he is an experienced Nen user.
definitely.
Yeah, this is about where I think Razor should be.
Yeah, I'd put him there as well. I think his biggest appeal is, like you said, the bridge between Gene and Gon in this arc. And I like the way that he is kind of serving as a test for Gon and Killua. Well, I guess for Gon specifically, in that Gon's dad, Gene, was like, if like my son ever comes here, I want you to like give him the work, like make
Yeah.
sure he like has to work for like the information to figure out where his dad is, basically. And so that was
Mhm.
really cool. The fact that Razor just came in and was like, "Yeah, these are kids, but I'm not gonna go easy on them. I'm gonna destroy them." So that was
Yeah.
cool. I liked him. He was a good character.
Next up is the main villain of
Mhm.
this arc. Um, He is known colloquially as the Bomber.
Yes.
Um, and I'm going to make a case that he's literally the worst character on this list.
Okay.
I understand that he has a little bit more personality and more screen time than someone like Granu, but he is the main villain. There are higher expectations for him. He should have done so much more, but literally, like nobody likes him. He's not interesting. He's not cool. Um, I've read a theory that like, or not a theory, just some analysis that since this arc was so focused on Gon and Killua training, that the main villain couldn't have been that interesting. Um, but still, he could have had at least like a good design.
Yeah.
He doesn't even look cool.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, I guess my argument is that nobody likes him, and like as a main villain, you have such high expectations that he deserves the worst place.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this was one of the biggest mistakes in Hunter x Hunter, to be honest. Like this arc definitely, but maybe even in the whole show. I think they felt like they needed this big villain, or at least like one main villain for the arc, when I really don't think that they did personally. I think just the stuff with Razor, and if they had introduced maybe like one more of Gene's friends that like had to test Gon, then that would have been just enough. And it would have felt more fitting for the arc, because the arc at the end of the day is a training arc. So to have kind of like a main villain for a training arc is kind of weird. And as we can see here, doesn't really fit.
Didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I agree.
The my favorite part is when Gon like just mollywops him. Like
Exactly. Yeah,
that's
that's the only cool thing about him, is that we get
the
to see a cool scene.
yeah. The only cool thing about him is that he gets beat up.
Yes.
Um, yeah, poor Gentru.
Yeah.
So next up is our main character Gon. Um, this is I think a good arc for him.
Mhm.
He gets like explore somewhat his relationship with Jean, and he he learns his like main ability that he uses throughout the series.
Yeah.
I guess like personality wise, did he have much growth this arc?
Um, Not a whole lot of growth. I mean, the fight with Razor was pretty just classic Gon, like him in a tough spot and not wanting to give up, which is always nice to see, I think. But nothing too emotionally growing yet, I don't think.
I will say, I just thought about this. There is one part that I think exposes Gon being a little unhinged, because we obviously see
Yeah.
eventually Gon is totally unhinged. But I think that one little clue to this is during their volley or their dodgeball fight, um, when Killua like shows his hands and just shows that they're like totally like destroyed,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "Oh, Killua, you gotta stop,"
Mhm.
and Gon's like, "Oh no, you should do it."
Yeah.
Um, and uh, it like takes you aback. You're like, wait, what? It feels a little weird, and I think it's like excellent writing by Togashi. Um, that yeah, Gon isn't 100% like I can't stand seeing my friends get hurt. Like I feel like some other anime protagonist would be like, then I'll find another way, a way that won't hurt my friends. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, I think even like prior to this arc, Gon kind of gave off that vibe where he was like, okay, like I'm gonna protect my friends no matter what. Like I'm gonna persevere, but I don't want to like have to step on the bodies of my friends, basically. And then you see this part, and like Killua was like, hands are just purple and swollen, and Gon's like, we can do this, right? And Killua was like, yeah, and they're like, all right, good, let's do it.
yeah, just detached from reality or like normal moral, maybe.
Yeah, I think he has a little bit of uh, ambiguous moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I feel like he belongs in any of these three spots, but I would probably opt for one of the bottom two.
I would say above Razor, but still an A. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Killua. What did Killua really do in this arc?
There was the fight, which was cool. He learns his like yo-yo stuff, which is
Right.
cool. Um, Not a whole lot else, to be honest. Not a whole lot else.
Yeah. I mean,
But I will say that scene in the dodgeball fight was pretty cool.
mhm.
The fact that he was willing to like put it all on the line for Gollum.
Yeah. I think he also like this isn't a huge scene, but it's just one of the ones that I remember when they go to like Razor's pirate den or whatever,
Mhm.
and there's the big guy who like tries to fight people.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Killua just like lights him on fire. um,
Remember that?
it's I might be getting it a little bit wrong, but I believe he like smashes like a bottle like a bottle of alcohol all over him,
Uh-huh.
and then literally just throws him into a fire. If I recall this correctly,
What?
maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. We'll have to look that up afterwards, but that seems pretty baller if that's true.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think Killua was a good character this arc, but it wasn't really super focused on him.
Yeah, I think he's always
Um,
a welcome addition, but nothing too different in this arc, I would say.
I would say maybe right here.
I'm fine with that.
Next up would be Hisoka, everyone's favorite clown. Um, Makes another appearance in this arc, and honestly, I really liked his appearance in this arc.
I did too.
We It loves to tease us with like putting Hisoka in positions that somewhat support the heroes. Like in the last arc, he is like Kurapika's confidant, and he's
Yeah.
not totally with the Phantom Troop. And in this arc, he joins them on the volleyball game. I thought there were a ton of really funny moments with Hisoka in this arc.
Hmm.
Um, and then I thought there was a really cool moment in the dodgeball game when Razor throws it. It's the final one. Gon, like, remember he passes out, and it's like, okay, we're gonna win. Cool. And then Hisoka pulls out his bungee gum and he says, like, no, Gon wanted an absolute victory. So I'm gonna like catch it and throw it back at him.
Hmm.
Um, and he does, and they still win.
Yep.
But it was a very cool moment because yeah, it shows just where Hisoka's priorities lie. Um, and just more characterization of him as like this guy who's like always seeking a fight, always seeking the most powerful opponent, always seeking a challenge. I thought it was very cool. I would place him in the S tier.
I agree. I think that this scene, or the scene that you just explained with dodgeball, really goes to show you kind of why he's so interested in Gon. Like you kind of see some level of respect there, where like he understands where Gon's coming from, where like he knows that they can win if he does nothing, but he knows that Gon's not gonna be satisfied that like with that because they're kind of similar characters where they want just complete victory. They don't want to feel like they were like taking like they took the easy way out essentially. They want to have to work for the victories, otherwise it just doesn't feel the same. So you kind of see Hisoka kind of paying respect to Gon in that respect, which I thought was really, really cool considering they're
Mhm.
more or less enemies, you know. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, and um, I think the little scene where they find Hisoka while he's bathing, that's a funny scene. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, Hisoka, he has a nice balance of like being on their side and also lying to them when asked like why he's here.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I think he deserves that place. But
Definitely.
next up is Biscuit Kruger.
Yeah.
If we want to go full names, what were your first impressions on Biscuit?
um Pretty meh overall, to be honest. I thought it was weird that she was like a little girl, but then we later find out that she's like Hulk. She's like huge and strong. Um, her character was like it was, I don't know, just decent. I wouldn't say I liked it too much.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to disagree with you here.
Okay,
I thought
open to
Biscuit was
that.
epic.
Oh my god.
Um, when first seeing her, I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of dumb. It's gonna be like, so what, like another like child that's with them?
Yeah.
Is she gonna be like sort of like happy go lucky, like Gon or whatever? Um, but no, she was like the teacher for this arc. And yeah, I guess I just, you know, enjoyed seeing a person who's very powerful in this world who doesn't have like the same motives as the rest of them. Um, Added some real variety because she's like a rare gemstone hunter and is really just here to find that gemstone.
Yeah.
Uh, and that was something that I thought was very cool about the hunter exam arc was we saw that there's like all these different kinds of hunters and that like being a powerful person in this world doesn't just mean fighting. It's like, you know, you have your own goals. And Bisky was one of these people with different goals. Furthermore, I think that Bisky was, a very good like foil to Gon and Killua, who up till now have pretty much just been coasting on their like inherent skill and their natural born talent. But there are people that are stronger than them in Greed Island, and people that like know more advanced Nen techniques. And so, Biscuit was good at just like slowing them down and being like, all right, you need to learn this. And I think like a super necessary character in this arc. Um, if it were me, I would place her here, but where would you place her?
Uh I would put her probably end of A because while I agree she was a necessary character and she wasn't a bad character, I'll admit that openly. She served like a good role of like world building, like you said, just like different motives, different desires, different just abilities and everything. I think that her character overall was nothing too unique, nothing. I wouldn't put her on the same tier as Hisoka as my issue, you know? I don't think that she's as complex of a character as Hisoka, but I do think she was cool and necessary for this arc. They needed a teacher, and I didn't dislike her. I Yeah,
Um,
but we can put her in the middle if
I wager
since you
maybe this.
That's fine with me. Yeah. I
Okay,
don't dislike her. She was cool and, like I said, necessary character.
cool. So it seems like most of the characters in this arc were like pretty good or not.
Yeah.
No B's. Uh, yeah, Ganther is the worst villain of all time.
Yeah. And gorillas are the worst net ability.
Yeah,
I
someone.
honestly can't think of a worse net ability in the entire show.
Granu is a grown man too. He has dedicated his life
Yeah.
honing his Nen. And this is what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting choice.
Any final thoughts?
I think we're good. Yeah. We'll see you guys next week with the beginning of the Chimera arc. I think we're gonna split up with humans first, and then we're gonna do ants later on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
There's
we'll
too many
see
characters
how
in that
that
arc.
goes. Way too many characters as opposed to this one where we had only what, 8 characters? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next week or next few days. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later.